向かってくるのか、逃げずにこのディオに近づいてくるのか。
近づかなきゃてめえをぶちのめせないんでな。
Jotaro Kujo is a quiet individual who keeps to himself most of the time. Despite possessing above average attributes such as height, strength and intelligence, Jotaro comes across to many as just a standoffish, rough delinquent. And whilst his hard exterior would have you believe that, he is quite different on the inside. Other than the aforementioned attributes, Jotaro was a mostly average high school student. He had his goals and aspirations, but he never opened up to anyone about anything, just continued with his life as usual. One day, after a fairly brutal fight in which he won, Jotaro found himself possessed by an evil spirit, which appeared to assist him in combat. Not knowing what this spirit was or what it could do, Jotaro restrained himself in jail for the safety of others. He was later informed that this so-called evil spirit was a spiritual manifestation of his own called a stand. Each stand user has a unique stand which can sometimes pertain to that person's psyche, and Jotaro is no different. Jotaro's stand, known as Star Platinum, exhibits a tremendous amount of strength, speed, stamina and accuracy, making it the perfect stand for hand-to-hand combat and a good representation of Jotaro's tough exterior. When his mother fell severely ill, just waiting to die, Jotaro found himself with a huge responsibility to face the intergenerational enemy of the Joestar bloodline, Dio. With his newfound stand ability, as well as the help of other stand users along the way, it was Jotaro's quest to travel the world, put an end to Dio once and for all, and save his mother from the grips of death. Jotaro's hands-on approach to dealing with problems translates into his simple and effective stand, perfect for putting a stop to opponents as quickly as possible. In Jump Force, Jotaro is a more offense-oriented character, focused on long, high-damage combos with a number of tools to do so. Jotaro has some good potential to catch the opponent off guard, counter-attack and quickly move into high-damage combos, some of which are inescapable. Jotaro lacks in any kind of long-range play, so playing offensively is what he wants to be doing. Jotaro's first ability is called Ura Ura Ura. Jotaro summons his stand, Star Platinum, before advancing slowly forwards. Whilst doing so, Star Platinum attacks with several rapid punches. The walk is very slow, so it's not exactly a rush attack similar to Dash Supers. That being said, the ability is still very easy to combo into. With the final hit of the Ura 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 combo, Star Platinum sends the opponent flying far away, so Ura 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 is a combo ender unless you utilize an assist. With a decent duration, Ura 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 can also be used at the end of block strings to cover switches or allow ample time to call your own assist as well. By holding down the ability button, the right trigger, Jotaro extends the duration of the attack, resulting in more hits and more damage. There's never really a reason not to do this unless the ability misses, since it simply maximizes your combo damage. There are some situational combos where you could go for the reduced damage version of the Ura 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 attack, but that's something more advanced than situational. Since this ability only costs 1 bar to use, it's Jotaro's go-to combo ender in basically all situations except for the aforementioned situational advanced combo stuff. Jotaro's second ability is called My Stand the Judge. Jotaro stands in place briefly to ready the attack. After a brief delay, Jotaro rushes towards the opponent with his stand and grabs them. Upon hitting the opponent with this ability, a cutscene attack is played, resetting the positions of Jotaro and his enemy, as well as knocking the opponent straight up and slightly away. The dash itself has good range as well as being fairly fast, which makes up for the brief delay. My Stand the Judge also has good priority through a number of attacks. The damage of this ability is pretty good. It does have more damage than Jotaro's first ability. However, there are a number of drawbacks to make up for that. For one, the ability costs 2 bars to use, so it's not very spammable in combos. In addition, it's slightly harder to combo into than Jotaro's first ability. Not hard per se, but it is more restrictive. This makes it less worth it as a combo tool than Ura Ura Ura. The good damage, range and dash speed of this ability are great, but the 2 bar cost ensures that you can't spam this ability. You can occasionally use this ability in the neutral to maybe counter-attack the opponent on prediction or close the distance if that's necessary. This ability can also allow for combo follow-ups using assists. Again, this is more restrictive than his first ability. And although the attack is visually a grab, the ability is not unblockable, so keep that in mind. That being said, the ability can still be good in block strings as the weird delay could catch opponents trying to dodge, take their turn back, or using an escape. Jotaro's third ability is called Star Finger. Jotaro stands in place and attacks using his stand. His stand extends its fingers forwards to hit the opponent and pull them toward Jotaro. On hit, the opponent is left in a crumpled state, allowing Jotaro to easily follow up with basically whatever he wants. Starfinger is a very easy combo extension tool for Jotaro, which doesn't require an assist to do so. Also, for an ability that is typically used for its utility, Starfinger also has pretty good damage in your combos. Despite this being Jotaro's only ranged ability, Starfinger doesn't really have all that much range, so it can be risky to use in the neutral if you haven't mastered that. Either way, Starfinger serves better as a combo extension tool, so that's where you want to be using it most of the time. As I said, it can be used as a combo starter if you somehow land this ability in the neutral, but that isn't something you should ever rely on. On that note, however, this ability is very good for catching the opponent's assist. Starfinger is also solid for pressure. This is because even on block, the opponent is pulled towards Jotaro, so you won't need to worry about knocking them back. To balance out the striking positives of this ability, Starfinger costs 2 bars to use, so that's definitely a trade-off. Starfinger is an amazing ability for Jotaro's big utility dump combos, where he wants to spend as much meter as possible to maximize his damage. Starfinger provides good damage as well as being a great combo extension ability that doesn't require any other assists. Jotaro's Awaken ability is called Time Stopper. Jotaro dashes quickly forwards with his stand. Upon connection, a cutscene is played whilst Jotaro unleashes a flurry of attacks. Afterwards, the opponent is knocked far away from Jotaro. The dash itself is fast, however the range isn't the best for its kind, and it also isn't amazing in terms of its vertical tracking. Anyway, Jotaro recovers faster than his opponent, so that's a perfect opportunity to either close the gap for more offense or charge for energy if that's necessary. You can continue combos with assists after using this Awaken ability, however this is something that's very situational and will require a lot of practice. Otherwise, the Awaken ability is a good combo ender, like most. For his assist, Jotaro uses his third ability, Starfinger. So some of Starfinger's greatest strengths come from its ease of use and its ability to easily and reliably extend combos in close range. This is a pretty fast assist with Starfinger already having short startup anyway. It isn't the greatest when it comes to range for catching opponents that are either knocked up or knocked away, but it is very easy to use in grounded combos. This assist is still very similar to the original in that it still crumples the opponent and pulls them towards Jotaro, and also still pulls them in when the opponent is blocking. I recommend using this assist only for combos and combo continuation. However, there are still some ways you could use this in pressure, even more effectively than the original ability since it doesn't cost any energy to use this. This assist is pretty good overall. It has fast startup and is very easy for combo continuation with mostly grounded combos. The relatively short range of this assist make it basically useless in the neutral, as well as not allowing for any kind of long range capitalization. Jotaro's approach to combat is mostly very standard. With a lack of any long range play, Jotaro doesn't find himself with much to do in the neutral. So for Jotaro, it's not a case of when to go in and when to hang back, it's more a case of stalling until you've got the energy you need and then going in for a combo. What's cool is that Jotaro can play two very different games depending on how you spend your resources, focus on his combo play and offensive pressure. Due to him having no projectiles, Jotaro doesn't have the luxury of choosing between close range or long range play. Jotaro's Ura 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 is always his standard go-to combo ender. There's never really a real reason not to use it. Due to the large knockback, Jotaro makes good use of his time to charge for energy, since he can be a monster when he has high energy. Ura 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 can also be used as a pressure tool. It can either catch opponents trying to punish you on your block string, make your block string safe, or cover a switch. My stand the judge is the only ability that Jotaro might get away with using in the neutral. Using this ability randomly in these situations could definitely catch the opponent if they try to do anything as you armor through their attack. Because it costs 2 bars and its damage isn't too amazing for that, it isn't a great combo ender. However, in the event that you do use this as a combo ender, the enemy will be left close to Jotaro, or at least much closer than they would have after using Ura Ura Ura. However, it's overall not as good as Ura 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 for a combo ender. This would have to be Jotaro's worst ability overall, since there's not many situations in which it's a good option, especially over his 2 other abilities. Now, Starfinger. Where to even begin with this ability? This is definitely Jotaro's strongest tool overall, as it allows him to extend combos easily and get good, near inescapable damage. Also, in those situations where you're going all out and dumping all of your resources into your attack, Starfinger is great for that too for the same reason. Due to Starfinger, Jotaro isn't as reliant on assists for those big damage combos, not as much as other characters might be at least. Due to Jotaro not having any kind of long range play, at best he has a dash super that's reactable at further ranges, it's important for Jotaro to adapt his play around one of two styles, both of which are offense oriented. The playstyles are based around Jotaro's Starfinger ability and how much you want to depend on this in your gameplay. Now, Starfinger is a great ability, so I'm not saying that you shouldn't use it, however you can definitely play in a way that makes less use of Starfinger and more use of constant offense. If you want to utilize Starfinger a lot, you'll probably be looking at doing less in terms of constant offense and more in terms of deliberate high cost combos. Pair Jotaro with an assist that can help to keep the opponent at bay so that he can get his energy charged for combos, especially since he'll want 4 or ideally 5 bars to do so. It's even better if this assist pairs as a combo tool, but that's not necessary. Otherwise, you might instead go for a more orthodox playstyle, utilize an assist for combo continuation and focus on lower cost combos but doing more of them. This means more offense and more combos, but less damage on each combo, whittling down the opponent's HP bar with 15 to 25% combos as opposed to bigger 50 to 60% combos. In this case, you can be a bit more flexible with your energy and use Starfinger for pressure and block strings as well as in some combos. These playstyles aren't set in stone, just an observation I made on how you can play Jotaro in a way that doesn't depend on him having max energy and all resources available. In any case, Jotaro's overall game plan isn't about mindless offense and pressure, since you have to be smart with how you attack so as not to leave yourself wide open. At the same time, Jotaro does not have the luxury of hanging back and waiting for the opponent to make a move, so you want to always be in there when it's time to be. Jotaro is a fairly easy character to pick up and start playing. His combos are very easy to pull off and highly damaging as well. At the same time, Jotaro definitely does have some depth there for different players. Learning how to adapt your gameplay to the situation and your current resources as well as how your opponent is playing will be important. Overall, Jotaro is quite a strong character as well. He may have some shortcomings at range, but more than makes up for that when he gets rolling. Jotaro isn't exactly a rushdown character. He's kind of like a grappler when you think about him wanting to be in close range to be threatening, but not mindlessly dishing out offense that will leave him open. Jotaro is a fun and simple character with an interesting level of depth for those looking for it. He has a number of interesting abilities that are easy to apply, but it's how you want to apply them that adds that depth. Guys, this has been the character overview for Jotaro Kujo. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.